come up with, if we were going to put together sort of a T-shirt or something, I'm trying to come up with how many interviews and how many co-hosts I've had and how many shows I've done. Haven't gotten the math all figured out on that yet, but it's 5 days a week for 25 years in terms of the number of shows I've done, and then a lot of times one or more interviews per day in terms of that, and then even greater number is the number of edits, because there are numerous stories that go into the show as well, and the number of people that have been volunteering over the years. I'm sure it's more than 100. More than 100 people have come through here, many not knowing anything really about public radio journalism, learning a lot, contributing a lot to their community, and some going on to jobs in the NPR system, and others going on to other things. But I think it still helps them develop, who they are, and to work with other people is really a lot more fun. Recently, my show, I've been solo host, and it's a much better show. I think there's a better dynamic to the program when it's co-hosted. It's collaboration. There's the energy on air that happens with that, and it's been very rewarding for me as well. I like to think that the listeners and the volunteers and the co-hosts have learned a lot, but it's never a dull moment, and it's always something new in terms of that. And the fact that the program's been around 25 years is mind-blowing in a lot of ways. And in some ways it seems like just yesterday that I started it. So it's definitely a huge part of my life, and I'm very grateful to have had this experience, and will continue to for who knows how much longer. But I want to say thanks to everybody who has made the show what it is, guests, volunteers, and hosts, staff at the station. Here's to another 25 years of the Northwest Passage. Thanks.
Are there some special highlights that come to mind when you look back on the past 25 years?
Over the time, we just moved into this new radio station about 2.5 years ago, but previously we were in a pretty cramped broadcast booth. And one of the ones that comes to mind was this band. We'd get musicians in, they'd be performing that evening, and they'd come by the radio station, and a band called Ozomatli, pretty well known around the country, brought a lot of energy, and they go, we're going to get wild and crazy. And one thing, they brought several acoustic instruments, but another guy took an empty container from the water cooler and used that as a drum, and they just filled the room with music and energy. It was really fun. I think one of the areas that really have the big numbers in terms of interviews, types of interviews, would be author interviews over the years, and William Stafford, Gary Snyder, Ken Kesey, are a few that come to mind right offhand. Sometimes reading from their books, sometimes not, and just giving the listener some idea of where their creation came from and why it's important to them. Another huge aspect of the show has been politics, the state legislature, candidates running for office, from statewide to local, county or county commission or city council races. And for me, some of these people are brand new to politics, but even though some media organizations would say, well, why do we want to interview them? They don't have a chance to win. But this is part of democracy, is to say, okay, here's somebody's perspective. Here's somebody who wants to be part of this decision-making process, and even if it's a paid job, they're going to volunteer a lot by the time you divide the hours into the paycheck. So it's a huge sacrifice and contribution on their part, and maybe it's the only time they'll run for office. Maybe they go on to the ladder, the stair steps of public service. And some of the interviews is that they've never been interviewed before, and to have them on the air, it's an opportunity for them and a way to contribute to the democracy in our community.
Are there some special approaches that you use to put people at ease if they've never been interviewed before?
I try to spend a little time with them in advance or with their book, but I also try to say, listen, this isn't a game of gotcha. I want this to be a conversation. I don't want to embarrass you or put you on the spot. And with politicians, there might be those follow-up questions that, okay, you've explained that much, but that sort of begs this next question, and that's my job to ask that. So I want to make it a conversation. I want them to, as the host of the show, I take that term very literally, that I'm welcoming someone into a literal and imaginary sort of space that I dwell in every day. But I want them to feel that it's also there for them. And I think that makes it for a better interview, makes more of a conversation than just a Q and an A.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. We appreciate it very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.